Close Racing Supply in Eldred, Pennsylvania has been in business since 1996, serving the motorsports industry with quality parts for dirt late models, modifieds, and stock clip race cars. In stock are parts from top manufacturers like All-Star Performance, Weir's Machine, Sweet Manufacturing, Winner's Performance, Willwood Brakes, and many others. CRS is also home of CRS Race Components, providing top-quality suspension parts. Orders are shipped out daily using UPS, FedEx, and truck freight. Find out more at closeracingsupply.com.
Welcome back to another episode of the Woah Show. A little break last week, and we're going to get into that. Why? Because Woah Nelly is going go-karting this season. Made a financial decision that was horrible, but you know what? We're going to have a lot of fun figuring it out. I don't even know what's going on. Everything behind me is destroyed because I built my go-kart motor at my coffee table. But anyways, we're back, the Woah Show, presented by Burnin Hollow Hot Sauce, and joining me yet again. I think this is another repeat guest, but a good one to have because we have a lot to talk about since the last time we talked. Welcome back, Jeremy Perry. What's going on, dude?
Yeah, thanks for having me back. A lot has changed since the last time I talked to you on the Woah Show. Since that time, we've gone through some new promoters and. Yes, and we'll get into all that stuff. But yeah, a lot has changed.
It's
at the dirt track
super funny, right? It's super funny because it's almost like, right, new ownership at Genesee, you become their, like, director of PR. Yep. New ownership at Stateline, I become the director of PR, whatever my title is. Honestly, I'm still trying to figure that one out because I have so many hats that I'm wearing right now with Stateline, and you know, it's super funny that our paths kind of follow the same way. But yeah, the dirt track at Genesee, new branding for Genesee Speedway. Also used to be Raceway 5 back in the day too.
I think it's Raceway 5 back in like probably 2010, 2012 ish. And there's something that was under Jim Mazer and Annette Mazer when they had it. And then I think it went back to Genesee when Jim Johnson took it back over is when it went back. So I think it sat there for a little bit, and then when Johnson got it back over is when it changed back to Genesee Speedway. But yeah, it was Raceway 5. Right there on Route 5 is how they got that name. It is on Route 5 in Batavia, so that is how they got the Raceway 5 name.
When I found that out, and this is funny, we're going to get into all the good Genesee stuff first, but I needed to bring up this tidbit because when I started going to Genesee as a fan and on Snapchat, it still comes up as Raceway 5. And mind you, I'm like, wait a minute. There's Raceway 7 that's also named after Route 7 in Ohio. Yep. So super funny. So let's get into it. New ownership. Tell us about it, how this all came together, and or your part in it.
Yeah, so James Gayton has taken over at the dirt track at Genesee, and as you heard me say, dirt track at Genesee, they've rebranded to that name. No longer the Genesee Speedway. I'm sure you'll still hear people call it the Genesee Speedway. It's been that for years. It was that before Raceway 5. It was Genesee Speedway, so it'll probably always be Genesee Speedway. But we're going to try and rebrand this year to the dirt track at Genesee under James. James has got a lot going on. A lot on his plate. He's bought a lot of brand new things for the facility. He's buying a lot of equipment to bring in. He didn't have a lot when he came into the place, so he didn't have a lot left when he got in there. Kurt and Bonnie, when they left, they took a lot with them, and that's okay because that was their stuff, so they're allowed to take that stuff with them. So James had to buy his own stuff. He basically had to start from scratch. So as you could see on the Facebook page, when we've been making some updates for the facility, you could see some brand new kitchen stuff going in. Those conventional commercial deep fries, commercial grills going in there. That stuff is all brand new going in there. So you see all that stuff happening in the kitchen area. The tower, the VIP room. I got a makeover this year, which is going to be nice for a lot of people. Brand new AC units went into the VIP room, which was a big upgrade. The thing a lot of people will like as well is the speakers work now in the VIP room. So they'll be able to hear me, unfortunately, but they'll have a knob in there where they can turn me off if they want. But they do have that luxury to where they can turn the sound up and down in that VIP room, and they'll have an idea of what's happening on the racetrack at that time in that VIP room. So that'll be nice for them as well. So the VIP room has been a little bit redone in there, made it look nice, and new chairs in there as well. So it's going to be a nice little area in the VIP room as well. But there's a lot of things going on at that track because they've had to replace quite a bit.
Switching to my race pass too.
My race pass is a big deal, and we talked. James and I talked back, and this is early when they got it, and Phil Vigneri had a lot to do with this PV3, and it's they said, if we want to be serious, we have to be serious, and we can't operate like it's 2005 anymore. So if we're going to be serious, we got to get my race pass. It's 2025. Let's operate like it's 2025. And that's exactly what we're doing. So that's going to help out not only me as an announcer. So when we have drivers come in, they will sign when they get into the pit shack, they will sign in. They'll pull their number right there with the click of a button, and then they'll go right onto the app, which will be nice for a lot of people. Right onto the app, they can see right in live time who's been signed in for the day so far. Everything just happens right in live time all the time. Their point system updates right away after each heat race. Their points will be updated after the end of the feature. They don't have to wait for me to manually do it until 1 o'clock in the morning and get an update on the points. I love that for that purpose. I can just click a button and it's done. So a lot of my job got a lot easier with this. And my race passes is nice too, to where you can now hear, if you're within, I believe it's 3-mile radius of the racetrack, you can now hear the audio of what's going on at the racetrack through the My Race Pass app. So a lot of drivers talk about how they want to be able to hear that stuff, so they can Bluetooth the My Race Pass app and have that speaker going on in their trailer if they wanted to hear what's going on at the track. To where a lot of guys, when they're in the pits, they don't know what's going on at the racetrack. They're so busy thrashing around. So that'll be nice for those guys to be able to hear that and what's going on.
Yeah, my race pass is also coming to Stateline, and there's only a few things that when I actually met with the new ownership at Stateline, and Bill and I have become closer since our first meeting, and my race pass is definitely one of those things where if we're going to improve the fan experience, it's huge. It's huge, and it's super cool to see a lot of these places start moving forward towards that. A lot of these places, and it's at no disrespect to any previous owner of a lot of these new facilities that are getting a new life being breathed into them, where they're taking the time, they're making these upgrades that maybe are just for one reason or another. Hey, we just don't. Whether they either don't see, the focus is this over here or this, but that experience is such a huge thing. And being a part of, those discussions on our end over here in Stateline, and hearing a lot of different things from different places, that's like one of the biggest things right now is that just even the live timing, right? It makes time trials more exciting.
Everything. They can look right down there. There's no more is it going to be, hey, is Race Monitor working tonight? Is this working tonight? No, it's working every time, period. Every time. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. It has to work. That's how we're going to run our points off of it. Everything has to work through My Race Pass. It has to. So we won't have it for our first practice, but we will have it it will be working for our second practice. We might have times actually for our first practice, but the reason why I see our second practice is we actually have our Zoom call with them on April 22nd, and they're going to teach us how to basically time it and everything else. So we're going to have the system's going to be put in. Actually, we got the system actually from My Labs. We got all that stuff probably a couple weeks ago. So that's being put. I wouldn't be surprised if it already got put in. But we're having the Zoom call with My Race Pass on April 22nd, which is a Tuesday after the first practice. And so we'll have that for the second practice. And that's when Jess will be there, our scorer. She's not able to make it for the first practice. So I know for the second practice, everyone's going to be there. So we'll have everything up and running for that one. So we may not have for the first practice, but that'll be the reason why. We just don't have all hands on deck for that first practice, which is that reason why. But yeah, really excited to see how this works, and it's going to be nice. What's really going to be nice too, and it's going to help these drivers out, is as you've seen at other tracks, when these guys sign in, especially at Stateline, is these guys sign in, they have all their sponsorships. right there. And from now on, we'll have a printer right up in the booth, and it'll spit out right to me. There's no more chasing sponsors anymore. Like, they're going to put their sponsors in, and they can change them every week. So if a sponsor drops with them, or they want to add a sponsor, they can come into the computer and just add it in there. And then every week it just prints out for me on the heat race, and I can have it right there for your sponsors. So your sponsors that are here this week, they're going to get read every week. So it's a big plug for your sponsors. It's super important that way. It's going to make everything just flow a lot easier. That's a big thing for a lot of people, because a lot of sponsors do go to these things. And they want to hear their name out there. So it's really important that we do this.
So looking forward ahead here at Genesee. It's exciting. A lot of the same kind of stuff that people are used to seeing, and a lot of maybe different events, new events, return of some old faces up your way. So let's go through it. What are we expecting here at Genesee, at the dirt track at Genesee? It's gonna take me some time too. Let me tell you, it's gonna be rough for me. I still call some places by their old names no matter what.
What's the first thing that all fans want, right? What is the first thing we all look at the end of the day is money. Money, money, money. We will be cheaper in 2025. The cost of admission last year was $15 for an adult. In 2025, it will be $12. So we're going down in price. We're going down $3 for the cost of admission. I can promise you our food prices will go down. They will not be what they were last year. That has come from James. So I know for sure our food prices and our drink prices will not be what they were last year. So we're trying to make this as affordable as possible, to have more families show up, more kids show up, make it more family friendly. Really, not that it wasn't family friendly before, but it's hard when prices are that way. We understand where the market we're in. We understand our clientele per se, and we have to bring those people out, and it's hard to do that when everything's so expensive. And we understand why it has to be expensive. At the same time, you can't have everything dirt cheap, because you do have to pay out a purse. At the end of the night, you do have to pay rent to the track, to the fair board. So there's a reason why things are like they are. But that's going to be a huge thing for a lot of people. That's going to be the first new thing they're going to notice, is it's going to be a little bit cheaper this year for some people, for the adults. Racing track wise, you're going to see a lot of the same things. We're going to have the Rush Tour Show. They're going to be in town on the 24th of May. We're going to have the Mackenzie Mini Stock Race, Mackenzie Memorial, on June 14th. And we're also going to have the return of the Super Late Models on July 3rd. So that's a big event for James and the staff here. So we'll have Super Late Models back at Genesee Speedway for the first time, I believe, since 2019 is the last time. And without me looking that up, I believe it's 2019, because we were scheduled to have a World of Outlaws show in 2020. And then obviously COVID happened in 2020. And before that is when we had our last Super Show, was 2019. In July as well, we're going to have the return of the Brian Ace Memorial. That was off last year for the street stocks. That will make a return back as the Brian Ace Memorial. Now we'll also have our big block, small block challenge. That will be in August. And then that same night, that's one of my favorite nights actually, is it's a Thursday night. And I've talked to you about this before, Daniel. I know a lot of fans like this, because this gives the fans a chance to travel in that want to travel. And it's like, well, it's a Thursday night. And we used to do where we run in 6 classes during the week, and I always thought that was crazy. I hate that. We're going to run 3 classes on a Thursday this year. 3, period, on this show. We're going to run big blocks, we're going to run sportsmen and mini stocks. And we're going to run big blocks for the big block special. And the sportsman race is going to be the Kyle Inman race, which always brings in a ton of sportsmen. So that's going to be the Kyle Inman tribute race. So Matt Steffenhagen's going to be running that for us. And then we're going to run the mini stock class as well. So 3 classes. That's it. And the other thing we changed too this year is, if we're running during the week, it doesn't matter what we're doing during the week. 4 classes max. That's the most we're doing. It's 4. So it doesn't matter what's going on. It's 4. So that's the main thing we want to kind of change is we got to stop running so late during the week. Even during the weekend, we don't want to be there until 11 o'clock. Let's get out of there, 9:30, 10 o'clock. Let's get some fans back into the pits at the end of the races. Let's get some people, down there. Let's get some kids into the pits afterwards and visiting with drivers and stuff like that. Because it gets too late, 11, 11:30 at night, and they have no time for it. They can't get down there. It's late, and they want to get home. And then in August, After that, we have the Gene DeWitt Memorial. That will be on our championship night. And then obviously Topless Nationals happens in September. And that's a new thing too this year, actually, is we're going to have our mid-season championship is back, and we will have season championship. And our mid-season championship, we will actually have no redraw that night, and there will be no lining up. You will line up on where you are in points. So on June 28th is our mid-season championship. You will line up where you are in points. You'll still do your heat race because we do heat race points. But if you win your heat race, it doesn't really matter. You're not going to a redraw. You're going to line up however you are in points. And it'll be the same thing for championship night. You'll have your heat race still because you get points for it. But it won't matter. You're going to line up by points. And it'll be double points on midseason and season championship night. So that's one thing we want to go back to. When we also went back to a little bit of a handicap, not a big handicap. We're going back to the way Jim Johnson had it, to where if you won the previous week, the best you can do is halfway through the redraw. So if they're going to redraw 8 cars, the best you can start is 5th the next week. If they're redrawing 12 cars, the best you can start is 7th. If they're redrawing 6, the best you can start is 4th. So that's what they do to the winner. It gives something a little bit just so they don't have the same guy every week. I know some guys don't like a handicap, but it's something we're trying to find, a happy medium for people in the stands, the people that have the race cars, and so on and so forth. But that's kind of in a nutshell what's happening there this year. We're hoping to see a lot more people there this year with it being a little less cheaper.
It's an interesting thing to bring up about lowering prices, and I've said this in me thinking about how to market these different places because, working with Bradford, working with Stateline, as I've been helping the Isidores and helping Stateline out, but it's trying to be in that conversation, right? And you're not going to be in the conversation when it's $60 it takes the kids to the races for the night,
Yep.
Or honestly, once you get the kids hooked, you have the parents too. So, making it affordable, making it in the conversation to begin with. If you're not in the top 3 conversation, it's like going out to dinner, right? I'm stealing Bill at Stateline. I'm stealing his analogy because I love it so much. You have the top 3 restaurants you want to go out to eat with in your mind, and that's it. And you got to get into that conversation. And, price does play a big factor right now.
Yep.
At Genesee, I think that area doesn't help with so much to do around it, right? With 2 bigger cities on either side of it, you kind of smack dab in the middle of Rochester and Buffalo and all this other stuff. But it's in a perfect spot if you can draw those people,
there's
right?
so much untapped potential. We have to figure out how to tap into that potential. There's so much untapped potential sitting where we're at. And it starts with the kids. It really does. We got to get those kids out of there. We got to make it more affordable for the kids. It's what we have to do.
Yeah, and Genesee is one of my favorite places to visit often. It's actually holds a special place for me. It's one of the first tracks. The Johnsons, I can't say enough about how great they were to me when in my early formative photography years where, it was like Saturday afternoon, everybody's rained out, and Genesee, it feels like never rains out. It's just one of those kind of places.
During the Johnson era, it just didn't rain on Saturdays here during the Johnson era. It made no sense.
And hey, everybody, Woah Nelly from a different time than this podcast, and we're here to talk about our sponsors. First and foremost, Burnin Hollow Sauce Company, your presenting sponsor of this podcast all year long in 2025. They have some of the greatest hot sauces that I've ever had. Honestly, it's one of those things where I never was a big hot sauce guy until I actually tried these sauces, and they balance heat with flavor, and that's kind of their idea of introducing a lot of these sauces in with, hot sauce doesn't have to just be burn your face off hot. It's got all these flavors. And let me tell you, I've been super adventurous lately. I've been starting to step up in the heat scale. Big fan of the Blood of Heroes hot sauce they make there, but all of them good, all of them flavorful. So check them out today on their website. Close Racing Supply has been one of our first ever sponsors, and they've been with us for about 4 years now. It's about to be race season, folks, or it is race season, depending on when you see this ad. And you're going to need all the best parts in the business. So go to Close Racing Supply today, and they ship nationally. They got their stuff all over the nation. The best of the best using Close Racing Supply parts. And if they don't have it, you don't need it. That's kind of the thing. It's like the superstore for some of the best parts in the game. They have all the top manufacturers in dirt oval parts. So hit them up today. Afflixtion Racecars has been a partner with us. Look at this. Represent. Got the hoodie on today. Afflixtion Racecars, some of the best race car chassis in the game, made by the legendary David Scott, and also Wyatt Scott helping him out. The Scott family been huge supporters of Woah Nelly forever and ever. Some of our first people that we actually really met and talked to, they've always been pretty good to us, and we're happy to have this as they are the official chassis of the Woah Nelly Modifieds. So make sure you call the Scotts today and get ready for this upcoming race season, and like I said, for the Close Racing Supply bit, because I don't know how often I'm going to change these out. Make sure you call them up and get going. They are a supplier for many of the top brands, and they will give you so much help. It is awesome. Their clients speak for themselves. Look at how great they've taken some of these local stock car modified drivers and added speed to their program. So make sure you check them out today. And how can we not go 5 minutes without talking about our boys, Carpy's Print Company? They made this hat. They made the shirt that I'm wearing under this right now. And they are fantastic. They create these shirts, and I'm telling you, the quality, not only in the design, but these shirts are indestructible. They do wraps, RC wraps. It's a huge one. If you didn't see our podcast with Derek, who is Mr. Carpy's himself, make sure you go do that. But RC wraps is also another thing. And, they do it all. It's a pretty unique place down there, based out of my hometown, out in Olean. Make sure you go see Carpy's and the gang today. Make sure you tell them that we sent you. It only helps our partnership out even more. Victory Fuel is a new one for this year. We have a discount code Woah Nelly at checkout. And just lets them know that, we sent you. You get a little bit off. Try some of their hydration drinks. It's not an energy drink. It is a hydration drink. They are delicious. A new sponsor also, just recently. This is the first ever ad read I'm going to be doing for them. They're the official sponsor for the Stateline Modified Invasion presented by Woah Nelly. They are Zenfolio. They've been a part of Woah Nelly as a brand, as we use them as our backbone for our website. So if you buy photos from us offline, if you've gotten a season package in the last 3 years, Zenfolio is the guys that we use. We really appreciate them. So if you're a photographer in the game looking for a platform, a sales platform, a place to store all of your photos, a cloud-based solution, the website builder is fantastic. We got to get in there and update our stuff for the 2025 season. I've been slacking. I've been slacking a little bit, but Zenfolio makes it so easy that it's. I don't want to say that it's simple, because the possibilities are endless with Zenfolio. Some of their other tools, they have a scheduling app. It's just an endless amount of just great stuff out of Zenfolio. I can't say enough. They help us be professional, just like all these other brands, especially like Carpy's and Zenfolio, probably our two biggest allies, making us look good, from a logo standpoint and a website standpoint. And I can't say enough about them. Two more. Bradford Speedway just got bought by the Isidores, and they are a sponsor for the 2025 season for Woah Nelly and the Woah Nelly House Karting program. We are very excited to have them on board, and also the home of the Woah Nelly 25 for the third running of the Woah Nelly 25. I'm super excited to bring it there. I'm super excited for the Isidores, and to be able to have a partnership with them is awesome. And I can't wait to wave the flag for Bradford Speedway even more. And speaking of another speedway that we got to shout out, our last sponsor, and then we're going to get back to the episode. Stateline Speedway, my home. It's in my backyard. And their new ownership, Bill and Lisa, they have been amazing, and all the people that we get to work with. We have one of the best crews in the game. I can't wait to see what we are able to put on as a on-track product. I've been the photographer for there for years and years, and it's super cool to be able, just like for Bradford Speedway and all of our sponsors, to be able to wave the flag, be able to sit there and, beat the drum and be a big supporter. So make sure you check out all of our sponsors, whether it's a racetrack, go visit them over the year. And see what they got going on. I'm sure between Stateline and Bradford Speedways, you will not regret it. It'll be an amazing show for both of those places entirely. But make sure you go support all of our loyal sponsors, and we're going to get back to the program. I mean, it did rain. There was puddles in the parking lot the one night I came up. I think it was Empire Super Sprints or Patriots or something like that. We're at the track, and I sent them a message, and they're like, oh, yeah, come on in. So it's a super special place for me, because one of the very first places where, it wasn't like, I think it's, I was starting to get in with Stateline and starting to do that stuff, but it's always been a place where a couple times a year, it's always been super good, and it's super. And this is me just raving about why I like Genesee now, because I think the pricing being good is great, and the schedule fantastic, variety, big blocks. That's what's king up there. But for those who have never been to Genesee, it's different, right? Turns 1 and 2, nice wide, top and bottom work, and then 3 and 4 get super narrow and technical, and it's like you're like one wrong step and you're going into the forest, right? So super cool. Really appreciate it.
If you look at the overhead view of the racetrack, it does definitely look like that on the overhead view. You wouldn't think that, but if you go on Google Maps and you hit that overhead view, you can see it, and it's definitely way tighter. And you can see they carry that speed in 1 and 2, and then once they get down to 3 and 4, and it's like, oh, I got in here a little too hot. And that's why you see a lot of calamity over in 3 and 4 more times than you see it in 1 and 2.
It's a good place to shoot, photography wise. I really like it. It's always been super cool, and it's super cool. A lot of these events, the Super's coming back. I was there the last time, not the World of Outlaw show that got canceled, obviously, but I think 21 maybe for the Gladiator. Does that sound right?
Would be actually, yeah, the Gladiator was there. That is true. That Gladiator was there when, well, it was a full house when the Gladiator was there. It was packed. That might have been 22. Was there fans allowed in 21? There might have been by then.
I don't know. It was a weird time, because I remember right at the end because Genesee opened like halfway through the year, and it was pits only, right? No fans.
Yeah.
It was a great way to get around it, just so we're, not around it. They were following the rules set forth.
Yep.
However,
for you.
But it was like, and the Johnsons were like, we're racing into it's the snow flies. I remember being there like, maybe it was like October 1st or something.
It was October. I want to say October 20 was the last race. I want to say it was October 26th that week. We ran a big block race, and it was nice. It was a day race. It was very nice that week.
It was such a cool time to be alive during that time, where everybody was like, oh, what's going to happen next and where can we go? But that was a good time. But Genesee coming on the rise, Jeremy. So let's go into your roles at the Speedway. So what are you, responsible for, and the behind the scenes roles?
Really, I'm not really responsible for anything, to be honest with you, but I help out a ton. Responsible for really announcing, and I take care of the Facebook page. It's really my only responsibility, and I take care of the points. Is my three main things. So Facebook, announcing, and points. Do I do more than that? I do. So this weekend we're having our employee meeting, is this Saturday, so I'll be there Saturday for the employee meeting, helping out James with that, filling spots, getting employees ready to go. Really, you can kind of call me Slash. Whatever they need right now is kind of what we're doing. Wherever we need to at. So really, whatever James needs help in. Yesterday, I talked to the family for Brian Ace for the Brian Ace Memorial. I'm setting that race date up. I've helped set up the Kyle Inman race actually. So I helped set that race up. There's a lot of little things I'm doing, but really, James and his family have been doing the most of this legwork on this stuff. He's got a ton of help. These are the guys that are killing it. I'm the one that's able to sit back and have fun and just report on this stuff and see what's really going on. These guys are the ones that are out there hustling and doing the work. I got the easy job. I'm sitting back and just reporting on it and talking that.
One more exciting thing. Maybe exciting for me, maybe not so exciting for you because now you got to learn the go-kart world.
Yeah.
The return of go-karts at Genesee, and the cool part about it, maybe not so cool. I've heard complaints and I think it's also cool. I don't know. Whatever. You can't make everybody happy, but half of the front stretch, half of the infield, there's a kart track there, and you guys are bringing it back.
Yeah, I'm excited to learn go-karts. So I've never been to a go-kart race once in my life. So this will be a new stepping stone for me. I guess that's a part of my role too, actually. I'll be in the booth on Friday nights as well, doing the go-kart stuff, calling the action for go-karts. I'll be taking care of their points as well, and I'll be giving them a write-up at the end of the night as well. Trying to give them just as much plug as we can for the Saturday night guys, because they deserve it too. They're spending their money. They're coming in, putting their hard-earned money on the track, and they're racing that stuff too. So we want to give them just as much of a plug as we do on our Saturday night guys. They're no different. So it's really important to us that we treat everyone the same way that we do on Saturday. So that's a really cool thing that we're going to get to do that. Unfortunately, that means I am done at McKean County Raceway, and I'll be honest with you, I'm happy and I'm bummed at the same time. The only thing I'm happy about is that 2 hour and 20-minute ride is over. That's about the only thing I'm happy about. I loved my time at McKean. Had a blast. I met a lot of cool guys down that way. Enjoyed seeing the pro mods down there weekly. Seeing the crate guys down there weekly. Meeting the mini stock guys down there. All of them, really, the Sharp Mini guys, the Isidore guys. I met those guys down there and got to see those guys weekly. Chris White and all of those guys. So it was cool to meet with those guys and see them weekly. Heck, I talk to Nate all the time. So I met a lot of cool people down there. Still talk to a lot of cool people. So I am going to miss it. I'll probably still be down there once in a while for big races, stuff like that. I'm going to be at Bradford once in a while this year, so I'm going to see some people. So that would be cool. Bradford's still a 2 hour hike, but it's, like I said, it's one of those things that's not that big. It's only going to be a handful of times compared to 15 times a year. So it'll be a little less chill. And it's nice because Batavia is only 14 minutes from my house compared to a 2 hour and 20-minute ride on every Friday night down to Smithport.
Yeah, so I'll touch here on the go-kart thing. Is it's really cool to watch kids grow into their own,
Yes.
whether it's either they move up or move out or just skill level. And here's some stats, and James is going to love the stats. And from Stateline having their own go-kart track ran by Mark Matthews, who is in, I'm going to say this, I'll say this publicly to anybody, Mark Matthews is so good with the kids. I think that's one of the reasons they have such a successful kart program. It's like 30 or 40 big cars came from that kart program. And I'm not sure the numbers at Genesee. I don't know how long that's been around. I knew they did it with Kurt and Bonnie when they were there. I don't know. I don't remember about if the Johnsons did it, but
Johnson's that's where it started. That's where our kart program started, was with Johnson. And there was a ton of karts. And I'm sure it would have kept growing. And I'm not sure how many guys came from go-karts because it just started with Johnson's. So they only had it for, I bet you Johnson's only had it for 2 years, 3 years max. Max. I'm going to guess 2 is all they had it for because they didn't do it at the beginning. So it was hard to get them going where they weren't there long. I think this is going to last a while, this go-kart stuff, because James isn't going to quit on this stuff. This is for the kids. I can tell you right now, if there's any issues, James is just going to throw people out. It's going to be as simple as that. If the adults are going to be the problem, they're going to be toast. They'll be thrown out so quick. James is not going to let the adults ruin this for the kids, is basically how this is going to go, which is the way it should be. We're not going to ruin things for the kids. So it's...
Yeah. But the kart stuff, and that's the whole reason that I got a cart is that I really want to help promote it in a way that using our platform to maybe do content, have some guest drivers. We already got some stuff lined up.
Absolutely.
Can't wait to announce that, and all of our partners are going to be very happy with the exposure we're going to be able to give them. But it is super cool to return a carts. Like I said, 30 to 40 guys came from that kart track at Stateline to race on the big track. And it's super sweet to watch a guy like, I'm just going to say off the top of my head, Andrew Hammond, who won at Stateline Karts and then won in a pro stock 11 months. He didn't even race an entire full calendar year
And how long have
in
you
a pro
guys had
stock and
carts?
winning.
How long have you guys had carts at State Line?
I'm not sure how long that track's been there. It's been there for a while.
We talking 5, 10 years?
I would
Longer?
have to go look. It sucks that the State Line PR guy doesn't know how long they've had their kart track, but it's been there since.
But it's
I
been
mean, when I
established.
was going there as a fan, when I was in college, it was there.
Right. So it's established. It's been there to where you can grow out of that and get into the big cars now. So they've been there enough. So that's our goal is to be there where it's there enough and people can grow, kids can grow out of that and grow into a mini stock, grow into the bandit class, and then once they're done with the bandit class, grow into the mini stock. Like last year we had Seth Johnson and Raceland Lippa and Joey Swick. They were all in the bandits the year before, and this year they're all finishing almost like in the top 5 every week in their races with the mini stock class. So it was cool to see those 3 do really, really well last year. So yeah, it's a lot of fun as you talk about. And I can't wait to see these go-karts do this and then progress on up. And I see that daily in my personal life being a referee. I've been a referee for a bit now, referee youth all the way up to high school, and I see these kids, right from the 3rd grade level all up until high school, and it's you see them progress, and it's pretty cool all the way to see it up.
Yeah, and touch on the McKean thing, and I don't know how much I'll be there. We're going to be promoting a race there. I know that they, open arms invitation there, and honestly, it being a haul for me, there's a kart track in basically my backyard down here that we're probably going to take the kart out and learn a whole lot doing that stuff. Raceway 7's another one where I try to be there a lot, but with, how invested I am in, between State Line and Bradford, Fridays is going to probably be my me time where I try to do a little bit of traveling and stuff. And then Bradford, I was the one who we worked out that deal together, you coming down to do the Bradford stuff. And man, I think you'll be excited about limiting classes. That's something you talked about on a Thursday. A Sunday is no different. It's a school night. It's a work night. We're running 5 classes, 6 at most because of the rush late model deal.
Yep. People think of that stuff. When I go to travel, like when I went to State Line a couple times last year, it was on the sole reason when I saw how many classes are on the schedule. Is the only reason why I went. For the super late model show, when I went, when they had just supers and E-mods, that's the only reason why I went, because there was the only 2 classes. Because I don't want to go for 6 classes and then try and drive back 2 hours. So it's super important. That's in the fans' mind. When they got to get back to when it's a school night. And it's a school night for adults too. Once you get older, it's hard to get up and go to work the next day.
Yes, it is. And it's with State Line having a ton of classes already, like on a weekly show. It got better. Honestly, it's really good now. I don't think we've ever been out past 11:30, but with a 6 or 7 class show there, I remember there were some nights when I first started that were a little rough. No fault of anybody. Sometimes that's just the wind, the way the wind blows, and you know how it gets. But hey, before we get into the Fast 5 questions, before we end this, give me your Genesee, the dirt track at Genesee elevator pitch. I got myself.
So this year at Dirt Track Genesee, it's going to be a fun family event for everybody. We already talked about that, but we're going to bring you not just a show. We're going to bring you an event every single week. Not only you're going to have me as an announcer there, but we're bringing on Nate Cozen. We're going to have yourself an infield reporter every single week. So he'll have free roam with the racetrack. Just like you see on the Lucas events, like you see it for the World of Outlaw events, Nate is going to be our Hannah. or Nate is going to be our DJ, or Ben. He's going to be out there doing heat race interviews. If there's an incident on the racetrack, Nate's going to be at that incident. Reason why we picked Nate for this job is Nate is a former driver. Nate has driven the Pro Mods, he's driven a street stock, he's driven the Shark Mini late model. He can respond back to the fans and let us know exactly what happened to that race car, what's broken on it, and report that back to the crowd. Okay, so that's a big thing for a lot of people. Another reason why we picked Nate for this job is Nate and I are pretty much best friends. So we already have that report back and forth with each other, and we get each other. So it's not like it's going to have this awkward back and forth, like I'm not sure how this guy ticks, how does he work. So we already have that communication. You guys saw it a couple times last year. Nate was in the booth a couple times. So we keep things really light and funny up in the booth all the whole time, which is the main thing. Like we said, you got to have fun with this. You can't always be serious all the time. We have to be ourselves. If you're not yourselves, it don't work. So that's the main thing. So Nate coming back, Nate being there this year in the infield is going to be a huge pitch. Money-wise, we're going to get cheaper for you. And we're bringing that, like I said, bringing that family atmosphere back. We had when Johnsons were there. Jim Johnson going to be the race director. He'll be back. We expect things you're going to have to bear with. Everything's going to come back together for us this year. And I really expect this to be a great year. Everything's going to be fixed up. We got a lot of help this year, a lot of people backing us. And I just think everyone needs to come out here and see this, and visually see it. And once you see it once, I think you'll want to keep coming back.
It is definitely a place, even though my home base is at Stateline and you guys stole Evie from us, Woah Evie Productions is out there. She's going to be using our base, but she's kind of branched out. She's going to be the Bradford Genesee person. My only responsibility is Stateline this year, so it's awesome. I'm going to be announcing at Bradford a couple times, joining you and Nate in the not together, not all at once. Marty Sakala also going to be joining us in the rotation. So we got a whole bunch of studs, and then me. So it's going to be great.
Marty's one of the best too. I love Marty. He's so good. Marty actually lives like 5 minutes from me. Which is a little tidbit, but yeah, Marty's one of the best in the business. A really good kid, and wish nothing but the best for him. But yeah, he does it all.
You should go ding dong ditch him. That should be some great content. You should just be like, that would be so good, dude.
Yeah, we tried to get him to a couple hangover crew parties, and he doesn't show up to those hangover crew parties. We tried talking him into it, but he walks by. When he walks by him, he just keeps walking. He doesn't stop.
But all right, hey, let's get to the Fast Five questions. You can make people mad on this or whatever, but as media people, sometimes we don't get to talk about our favorites and our memories and stuff. But hey, let's get it started. Who is your favorite race car driver ever?
Doug Ricotta was in the 01, and grew up with watching Doug Ricotta. The Black 01, still in the Black 01, so I do enjoy seeing the Black 01 around the dirt track at Genesee. Not sure how much longer he'll be doing it, but as long as I get to see Doug still out there wheeling around, it's pretty cool for me. So yeah, I enjoy getting to watch Doug still at the dirt track.
Doug's always entertaining to watch out there too, and especially when he wins. Super funny story. So when I went to Volusia, he was down there helping Ed Carley out. He's like,
yeah. Him and Ed are...
Oh my God. He's like, do you know who I am? And I'm like, I was there the last time you won a feature, brother. You shared my photos. And he's like, oh yeah.
I wish people nowadays could see, like, through my eyes what Doug was like back in the early 2000s and what that was like, the battles with him. There was a race once, and people are going to listen to this. It was the BRP Superstock Series. It came through Batavia. And back then, at Batavia, the crowds were out of control. They either loved Doug or they hated him. There was no in the middle. So Doug came out for hot laps. And I'm telling you, half the crowd would flip him off. And it was like Max Blair. And half of them would cheer him. And he come out, and I believe a radiator hose fell off the car. The whole place went nuts. This is under hot laps. And then come out for qualifying, same issue. And then went out for the heat race, same issue. And now he's not going to make the race. But it's the BRP Superstock Series, so he has a provisional because he's up there in points. Well, Donnie Wagner gave him his car to use. And this is back when Genesee was bottom dominant at the time. Doug used Donnie Waker's car, started tail, and this is a super stock, so they get a full field of them. I believe they started 26 that race. So he gets into Donnie Wagner's car, which is not his car, and rips it on the high outside, goes around everybody. Now this whole place is standing up. It's like a scene from Dale Earnhardt at this point. He gets up to second with about 3 laps to go, and Bill Holmes in the iconic black 8 is in the lead. And with about 2 laps to go, something happens to Bill Holmes, and he breaks, and he has to pull off. And Holmes had the win. He was too far ahead. He was going to need a caution to catch him. And Holmes had to pull off and give Ricciardo the win. And to this day, I've still never seen a crowd that crazy at Genesee Speedway that night that Ricciardo won that race. And Donnie Wagner's car, not even his own car, still one of the craziest things I've ever seen was that.
Man, it's those moments that definitely make places like that special. So speaking of, and you can play favorites here, but what's your favorite racetrack?
Favorite racetrack has got to be Eldora Speedway. And I know that's cheap. That's going the cheap way out, but there's just so much fun at Eldora Speedway. And it's not just a racetrack. It's when you're at Eldora, you know that you're there with your buddies. It's more than just a race. You know you're not going to bed until 4 or 5 in the morning. And when you wake up at 8 or 9, you're going to start drinking again. It's a party for 6 or 7 days. You know, you got the best of the best there. But Eldora, hands down, is the best racetrack, in my opinion, for fun-wise.
Oh, man.
Racing-wise, I love Fairbury. Fairbury has to be one of my favorite tracks, racing-wise. But Eldora, like the whole package. And really, I look at it as because of my friends. I get to go with my friends, and we get to have a great time. But really, if we're going racetrack-wise, how can you not love Falls? I mean, it's Falls. I got to get there once.
Somebody better tell James he's going to need a new social media guy. Come on, you got to be a homer once in a while.
Yep.
You know what? We might have touched it with the Doug Ricciardo story, but what's your favorite moment in racing as a, maybe not as a fan, actually, let's not do it as a fan. Favorite moment as somebody that's working in racing.
Favorite moment, someone working in racing.
So, like, you as an announcer or whatever, like, do you have, like, a favorite moment that you can recall doing this?
It's got to be our first-time winners and seeing how emotional they get. Because it's real. You don't really see it when you're in the stands and you get out of and you get to go down there and interview these guys. Because when you're in the stands, they talk. But, like, until you're down there and you can see, like, the water in their eyes and what this means to them, and you can see their lips quivering, like for real quivering, like they're gonna, like, you don't see that from the stands, and what it means to these guys, and it's numerous guys. Watching Seth Johnson last year, how many times he came in second, and then finally picking up, you know, getting these. It's just these young kids that come out of nowhere, and it's like I said, what it's all about these first-time winners is really my favorite part. And I also love the drama, too, because that makes my job so much easier when there's drama on the racetrack. Because we're talking about it. I can promise you that we are not going to shy away from drama on the racetrack. We will talk about it. And we will tell the truth.
Everybody tells the truth when they're in the moment. That first 10 minutes out of a race car, they're gonna show you their true colors, right? There's a lot of guys that are seasoned veterans when they get out of the car, and they can just forget what happened on the racetrack, thank their sponsors, say hi to everybody, and on we go. But, you know, first time winners, Addie Chamberlain at McKean.
Yes.
Amazing.
Yeah, she did.
Amazing.
Yep. Yeah, Addie, that was awesome. That was awesome of Preston to let her in that car.
Blow it up.
And they had the motor expire on. Like, that's one of those things you'll never forget. You'll never forget the motor expiring, coming there, and the car being in pieces in Victory Lane, the motor just being everywhere in Victory Lane. You know, you'll never forget that. You know, neither will Addie. So that's why it's so cool seeing that stuff. So it was cool to see that on JD's face. That's another thing too. Like, it's not just like the winner's face. It's like you get to see JD's face when that happens. You get to see JD's friend's face because like Addie means a lot to a lot of those guys, you know, because they've been there the whole time, you know, watching Addie grow up, you know. So it's so cool to see that whole thing. I think the only thing that bumps me out is probably not being involved that much anymore and being down there and hanging with them. That's probably the only thing that I don't get to do, which sucks. But getting to ride with those guys at the racetrack every now and then is a lot of fun and being in that way. So it's But yeah, that's pretty cool to see that stuff.
So we got one more racing related question, then we got this is the new and improved questions list. It's second time ever, time out in the car here. What made you a fan of racing? When you're like sitting in the stands, you see a moment and you're like, this is it. This is the shit.
So I grew up with NASCAR on the TV. Grandpa was a big time Dale Earnhardt fan. Grandma was Rusty Wallace fan. So it was always the black 2 versus the black 3. And Grandma and Grandpa would just fight with each other every Sunday. And I just had no choice but to get involved. It was you either picked Rusty or you picked Dale, and you had to be in. And then they took me to Little Valley when I was a kid. That's where I got my first taste, was Little Valley, in that pizza that I can't get my hands on anymore. I can't get my hands on anymore. And so they took me there, and then obviously Genesee Speedway and Perry Speedway, actually, when I was a real young kid. But really my grandparents were the main people in that. So racing's always been in the family. So yeah, I have my grandparents to thank me for that stuff.
And last one, 3 things you're thankful for.
My wife, in case she watches this, honestly, Rich Vleck, for the opportunity that he gave me to start this whole thing. And I know if he's watching, he's gonna be like, "Shut up, dude, shut up." But seriously, without him taking me in and giving me a shot at the infield report and then saying, "Dude, come on, let's do this, you." And I was always like, "No, I don't think so, Rich." He's like, "No, come on." But yeah, no, Rich for sure. And then everyone who believed in me. It goes back to Kurt and Bonnie too, because when Kurt and Bonnie brought me in, I was a first time guy. Never did it once in my life. And for Rich to say, "Yeah, Jeremy can do this," but Kurt and Bonnie had to be like, "All right, yeah, he can do it." It took a lot of trust for them to just be like, "Okay, Jeremy, it's yours." You had to run with it, and then I had to. Not only did I have to run with it, I had to prove it too. It wasn't just like here it is. And then after they were done, I only had 1 year, and I have a lot to thank for James too, because James could have easily been like, "Yeah, we're going to go a different way." You know what I mean? That would have been understandable because it's his racetrack, and I couldn't have been mad if James did that, and it would have been understandable if he did, because I only have 1 year under my belt in the booth. So it's thankful for James for doing that, but really it's really at the end of the day, it's my wife that allows me to do all of this nonsense. For the people that don't know, all this racing that I do, from March until we just had our first game today. From March until May, I'm a high school softball umpire. And then we have racing season, and then when racing season's over, we have football season. I'm a high school football official, and then when football's over, it's basketball season. High school basketball official. The wife allows me to do a lot of things, and she's home taking care of Ollie and the dogs a lot while I'm out working. So really, if it wasn't for her to allow me to do this stuff, I wouldn't be allowed to do it. So I really appreciate the wife for letting me do all this stuff.
Well, Jeremy, I'm sure I'll see you, more often than not up there, depending on rainouts. And, I have the schedule for the Thursday shows. I'll be up there, no doubt, because I can't miss a night at Genesee.
Yeah.
It's hard to find an excuse not to come out there. It's always a good time. Can't wait to see what it's like under James.
I'm excited.
I really like. It seemed like this year is like the new blood in racing era. Like the new era in our region has really started, and I think it's gonna get really good. New ideas.
Can't be afraid
I'd say
of
like
change.
A lot of young bloods.
That's what we talk about. We cannot be afraid of change. It's okay to change. We don't have to be stuck in the 70s and the 80s. We don't have to be. And I always tell James, and we always laugh about it. And I love this saying: you can either adapt or you can die. One or the other. So let's do what we got to do here. Let's not be afraid to adapt. So I know we get in this old habit of, well, let's not change things. Let's not change things. That's not how we did it. We don't do a lot of things that we used to do anymore. So let's just be careful here. We got to be smart though at the same time. We can't just obviously go out and be crazy. But we have to be very strategic. And I think James is doing that. And I hope to be with James for a long time because I love Genesee, and we'll see what happens. But yeah, I'm super excited for our first. We got our car show here on April 12th that Evie will be there for. Excited to see Evie come up there and take some pictures for the car show and the banquet. And then we got practice April 19th, 26th. So it's not far.
It's I'll be at PPMS that night. That's why I won't be out there, and also I wouldn't be there because Stateline has practice too, both the kart track and the big track. But we're gonna go down, hang out with the 305s at old PPMS, and watch some of our friends down there.
Yep.
Before we get locked down, you know how it is when you get locked down for the entire season. Those traveling opportunities don't, they come far and few between.
Yeah, and the one
to
thing
go
I
really explore.
wanted to mention too, a lot of people are like, why does Genesee run so many races? Why do you guys run so many races? Why not cut back? And this is a good way for me to answer this too for you guys that ask this question. Is the Fair Board charges us for 15 races a year, period. So if we want to run 12 races a year, we can. They're going to charge us for 15. If we want to run 6, we can. They're going to charge us for 15. So there's no point in running 6, 8, 12 races. So we want to set ourselves up for 15 races. We could. If you rain out 2 of those, you're still going to pay for 15. So that's why everyone at Genesee schedules usually 18 to 19 races. So when you have 3 rainouts, you're down to 15. That's why you get that. That's why we schedule so many at Genesee. That's why Genesee is going to be a weekly track, why they're always going to be a weekly track. So if you ever hear the rumor out there that Genesee is not going to be a weekly track, no, that's false. We always will be because the Fair Board, they're a weekly track. So we'll put that to bed real quick on that one. But that's the reason why.
And the weather up there is a lot different than it is down here at the Pennsylvania-New York border.
It is. And we do have different weather for sure. The farther south you are, it's very different.
You guys are able to run way earlier and way later, and I don't know if it's just because you guys are on the lake or not. But all right, Jeremy, I know that I kept you up past your bedtime for this. I've been crazy working on my go-kart and working on other media stuff and getting stuff ready for the race season. Appreciate your time, and good luck this season. We'll see you.
All right, man. Go Bills.
Go Bills.
In the heat of the game, every drop counts. Introducing Victory Fuel Flavored Electrolyte Water, the ultimate hydration companion.
Silly Bowl champion Logan Seavey, ASCS National Champion Seth Bergman.
Packed with essential electrolytes and bursting with delicious flavor, Victory Fuel keeps you hydrated and fueled to perform at your best. Nothing tastes better than Victory.